for Burkle to handle in goal right now. We get set, SMU in the away white uniform, Stanford in the home black, and senior night is underway as the number 2 Stanford Cardinal hosts the SMU Mustangs. This is second to last regular season game for both teams, and we are off and to the races. I mentioned senior night. There's 5 seniors being honored here for the Stanford Cardinal. SMU just coming off of their senior night where they hosted North Carolina. All of those emotions for them. Such a fun day. Also so fun to have it out of your system. There's just so much buildup. Mentioned the 5 senior. There's 2 on the field right now. Elise Evans and Jasmine Ike. So many know those names so very well. Here's Sophie Murdoch, and she'll play it back to Elise Evans, wearing number 2, wearing the captain's armband. Such a staple of Stanford Cardinal women's soccer. Jenna, it's going to be hard to envision a world without Elise Evans in a Cardinal uniform.
And she's a 5th-generation Stanford, just that is here on the farm for her family. And not only that, but her mom actually played for Stanford women's soccer. She was a part of that first College Cup team ever back in 1993. She's here to help celebrate senior day with her. There's so many emotions and just history and background and layers that go into this kind of celebration. Of course, they know that they have business to take care of on the field. They've been doing that all season long. But to have that kind of support is huge.
Definitely business to take care of. Before the broadcast, I mentioned to you, actually don't even remember anything about my own senior day, who we played, if we won. I can imagine it might be different for the Stanford Cardinal squad on such a run and winning an early corner kick here to start it off. And it looks like it will be the freshman, Elon Nguyen, who will jog over and take this for the Stanford Cardinal. Now, this is an important moment. SMU have not been strong defensively on corner kicks of late. They've been switching up how they've been defending them because of that. Here's a ball into the near post, flicked on, out of bounds. It'll be a goal kick. So well defended there by SMU. 2 goals scored against them versus Notre Dame off of corners. They shifted how they were defending corner kicks. And then 2 goals scored in a row by the same player by North Carolina against SMU off of corner kicks. So they went from man-to-man to a half-zone, half-man. They are changing it back up again here tonight, but definitely something to keep an eye on. Set pieces, so hard to defend, yet so important to defend, and certainly not things that you want to concede that many goals on, especially against such top opponents. It'll be a throw-in here. Buta back to Murdoch, who will send it all the way back. Line. Freshman Burkle holding down the goal for the Stanford Cardinal. Is this mist that you see over the field is not mist. It's the purple smoke. I don't know how to describe this, Jenna. The pregame smoke, if you will.
It's Cardinal.
Excuse me. It's Cardinal. It's not the pink out game today. Dispossessed is Murdoch. Pocket picked. And here come the Mustangs the other direction. Shot from distance. A lot for Burkle to handle, but it'll be over the net. Got a shot right there from Parkhurst. And it looked eerily similar to how Miami scored a goal in Stanford's last game. Murdoch got her pocket picked. Miami was able to capitalize on that.
You can actually hear, even on the opposite side of the pitch, the bench for SMU. They're bringing a certain energy in here tonight. This is one of their last games of the season, the way it's going right now. So for the seniors on their side, they want to end their collegiate careers on a high note as well.
It feels like so much is continuously built on top of that pressure, and it almost feels like playoff soccer. It's coming. We can smell it. SMU now with about a possession of their own. Jones will try to swing it through the midfield. She will do a good job of it. Back to her on the left-hand side, and no dice. SMU trying to switch the field there through their midfielder in Parkhurst. They're unable to complete that switch. Zoe Parkhurst, midfielder, junior, out of Menlo Park, California, actually, returning home. We've seen some SMU hats in the stands today. Perhaps they belong to her family. Menlo Park, just down the road. As Andrea Kitahata applies the pressure, it'll go all the way back to Brown in goal as Jasmine Ike chases it down. Ike, another senior, being honored tonight. We had the pleasure, I think, of her last match at Kagan Stadium, most recently last match witnessing that bicycle kick in person, Jenna.
Yes, against the #1 team at the time in the country in Virginia. It was a top 3 matchup, a big-time moment for ACC soccer this season as well, and the bicycle kick to open up the scoring for them to knock down #1 here at Kagan. And since then, they've been on a roll. You mentioned the win streak that they have going overall this season, as well as here at Kagan specifically. They've been in a great rhythm so far throughout this year.
Certainly. That bicycle kick broke the internet a little bit. Something we haven't really seen since the miracle from midfield last year on the men's side. Jasmine Ike, probably the first of many times she will break the internet with something outstanding. And here come SMU mounting an attack. Wide to Eddie on the right flank. Eddie being chased down. Evans will clear. It'll fall right back. Ungashik with a cross inside. Nobody's on Gordon. It's a will go over the bar, but a great job right from the jump here from SMU applying the pressure. We're seeing them find spaces in this Stanford defense that we don't see many teams find.
Especially this early on in the contest. You know, we've witnessed a Stanford team that has scored early in the first 15 minutes of the first half and the second half, actually, quite a bit throughout the season. And so for them to be being outshot 2-0 right now by SMU does speak to the aggressiveness that we're seeing from the Mustangs.
We talked about the Stanford offense. You mentioned being outshot. #1 offense in the nation in so many categories. They're the #1 scoring offense based on average goals per game, averaging 3.73 as Gordon is able to find that ball. A quick 1-2, and that finds Nieves down the again. Evans there to clear it out, but again falling to SMU, doing a great job here in possession. We don't see a lot of teams outpossess the Stanford Cardinal, but right now SMU have had their way a bit with the ball. Cardinal, a quick 1-2 in the middle. And that's Nieves picking the pocket. A foul called against Sophie Murdoch. That's on the back of Nicholson. It'll be a free kick to SMU. Lindsay Nicholson, freshman out of Palm Harbor, Florida. Got her first start of her collegiate career in the first game of the season at Wake Forest. Started the first 8 of 9 games, but didn't start in a 4-game stretch. And has been back in the starting lineup for the past 2 games. Naya Rose out with a concussion, their typical center forward, striker. And Nicholson, standing at 5'11", has done a great job of that hold-up play, drawing fouls just like that. It'll be Nieves over the ball for the Mustangs. Nieves with the ball in the post. And hard it all the way out. Still not out of trouble. In the corner now are SMU, trying to find some space in the center, and finally, Elise Evans has the last word. Kohler will settle and look to swing. Harvey will complete it all the way over to Klinger. Klinger with some space. Harvey, a quick 1-2, trying to find Buta out wide. Miscommunication on that pass. Buta will take the throw. Mia Buta wearing the captain's armband as well. 4 captains on this team, Jenna. Not usual for us to see.
No, something that head coach Paul Ratcliffe talked about. Typically they'll have 2, maybe 3 at the outside, but he said there were so many just amazing voices and different types of voices, diversity in the leadership that they bring to this team. So Andrea Kitahata and Elise Evans, both the second time that they have been team captains, Mia Buta and Shea Harvey in their first year of being in that leadership role.
Stanford now will take their bout of possession. Buta, a quick step over there was Klinger as she gets the ball from Buta. Just ran out of room on the sideline. It'll be SMU ball. Mia Buta used to playing in the midfield, but she's taking over right back duties right now. It's been a different kind of season for her. Last year, all ACC second team. She was a key midfielder for this Stanford Cardinal team, playing and starting in every single game in the midfield for them, and has been having to hold down that right back position since she returned from injury. Played a couple games in the center, and as soccer goes, it's not necessarily you can play your position. It's the best 11 on the field, and you kind of shift around where everybody's playing. So Mia Buta taking on the right back duties as Elise Evans takes her space.
And that's something that Paul Radcliffe talks about as well. Finding a way, there are certain players you just need to have them on the pitch some way, somehow, to have the best 11 out there. And Buddha was a big one to get her back in the mix after being out for a little while. She was on the preseason Mac Herman watch list. Of course, Jasmine Ike, Elise Evans on the midseason watch list for that prestigious award. Quite a trio just among those three.
Certainly. Freshman Wen will take this once again for the Cardinal, their second of the game. Near post once again, headed on. Just couldn't quite redirect it enough with Sophie Murdoch on that near post, but it will be a Stanford Cardinal corner kick once again.
Corner kick, Stanford, number 18, Elon Wynn.
Wen will send it in front post again. It's Harvey and Murdoch. Neither of them can get to it. SMU will just look to clear. Gordon sends it all the way back. Buta is there. Buta looking for Ike. Usually that's not a great ball, a straight ball to a straight run, but when it's Jasmine Ike on the end of it, it kind of feels like, well, something could happen there. Kohler with a good turn in the middle, trying to find Harvey. Just a miscommunication there. Harvey says no problem. SMU will actually keep this in bounds. We talked about SMU being battle-tested, Jenna, and it doesn't feel like they came in here with any type of fear whatsoever. Quite the opposite, actually.
No, right away getting 2 shots off. And that's something that, you know, head coach Nicole Nelson, you have to preach to your team, right? I mean, she's in her 4th season at the helm, 35-25, 10 overall since leading SMU. And it's really about battling. You know, they finished 13th last year in the ACC. They're sitting at 12th now, again, trying to end on that high note here to make that progress from year to year. They had the 6th toughest schedule in the nation last year as well. They're trying to put the building blocks in place to get back to the NCAA tournament.
Throwing on the far side for SMU. Their last NCAA tournament appearance was 2021. Stanford Cardinal, on the other hand, the only program to have reached the College Cup in both of the past 2 seasons. Dangerous ball there, handled by Evans, who now will find space and take it. It's what this back line of the Stanford Cardinal does so well. They're not afraid to take the space in front of them and then dish it off to the midfield when they need to. Here's Eleanor Klinger, the sophomore. Cross in with the left. Back post is Kitahata. A good attempt by the Stanford Cardinal. Likey was there, but couldn't quite chase it down. And Brown jumps on top of it. Jasmine Ike, another senior, we mentioned being recognized and honored tonight for all that she's done. And they mentioned on the PA, as she was being honored, she's the most versatile player in Stanford program history. And I think that sums up quite a bit, don't you, Jenna?
Absolutely. I mean, we've seen her, you know, defensively in the back. We've seen her right up front. I think the very first soccer match that I ever called was her freshman year. And it was actually the first round of the NCAA tournament, and she scored multiple goals in her first ever postseason matchup in the NCAA tournament. And I think the first freshman in Stanford history to do it. 4 goals on 5 shots that night.
When you think about who's come through the Stanford Cardinal program, that really does say a lot. I mean, Katarina Macaria holds so many records here. Kristen Press, Kelly O'Hara, who played as a forward here. So to say that she was the first to do that is really something. Free kick for the Cardinal results in nothing. It'll be a goal kick, and Brown will just play it out of the back. SMU are opting more and more to just go with possession. But with Stanford's possession in the past couple of minutes, they've been forced back into their defensive shape. How can they respond here? Gordon, quick 1-2 in the midfield. Finding Eddie out wide. Eddie being chased down by Kohler in the midfield. Eddie with a shot over the crossbar. Another good effort there from Eddie on that right wing, who's been busy already tonight.
Eddie busy already. I see what you did there.
I'm trying. I can't keep up with you with the puns, Jenna, but I have to try.
You know, Eddie's one of the ones that could get things going for SMU as well. She has a team high and 10th in the ACC, actually, 43 shots. Also 11th in the ACC with 3 shots per game. Just somebody who can, again, light the fire that is needed for this Mustang offense.
Tied for second in goals on this squad. Here's a cross in from Buta. Back post, Ike was trying to get there. Couldn't quite do it. She was covered well by Hartman. And that ball will not roll out of bounds. Now Hartman chases it down and wins a throw-in for SMU deep in their own half. Talking about the captain's armbands for the Stanford Cardinal, something unusual as well on the other side of the pitch. A sophomore captain on the Mustang side in Lydia Ungashik, sophomore out of Overland Park, Kansas, playing in that holding center mid position, that number 6, if you will. Very much a quarterbacking position. Understandable how somebody in that role can be deemed a captain. Klinger cutting inside, finding her space. Trying to find it still. She'll find a pocket. Klinger just wide. Unorthodox captains on both sides, though, Jenna, to get back to that. 4 for the Stanford Cardinal, a sophomore captain on the SMU Mustangs, and you kind of love to see it. Team stepping outside of that normal box, if you will.
Yeah, leadership comes in different forms and different ages, right? And there are also 4 captains for SMU. In addition to Lydia Ungashik, there's Haley Hartman, Haven Embry-Taylor, and Mayu Inokawa as well, all contributing on that side of it. And those are the official leaders, right? Every time you talk to a head coach, they'll also tell you, you know, they hope that leadership comes from all throughout the team and all throughout the roster, all ages, etc. These are just the ones who have been tapped and officially taken on the responsibility.
Evans sends it back to Burkle, who will send it long. Mustangs with the ball in their attacking third. Hoping somebody can just settle. Harvey chasing, Ungashik chasing, and it'll be Harvey to win the throw. As we are now 17 minutes in. Hard to hold the Cardinal to 0 goals in the first 17 minutes. This team starts very quickly. 16 goals in this season have come within the first 15 minutes of the match. Scoreless now after 17.
That's a program high, by the way. We talked about the history of the Stanford program, so for that to be the case is huge.
Kohler puts it all the way across the face of the goal. Nobody's there on the other side of it. Ike was back at the penalty spot line. Kohler put it across the face of the goal. Beautiful cross, but nobody's there on the other end. Mention a program high. We can get back to the #1 scoring offense in the nation that we were chatting about, averaging 3.73 goals per game. They scored 56 goals total. They're also #1 in shots per game, averaging over 23 per game, and shots on goal, averaging 10.67. Also first in total points. Here's a breakaway opportunity. Nieves. It's Burkle out of the net to clear it out. Nieves has found herself in some very dangerous positions, exactly what SMU wants. Sammy Nieves, graduate student, tied for second in goals on this squad, first in assists with 6 assists, 3 goals on the season right now. Wearing the number 6 on the field. She is who you want on the ball in this attacking area. She can score, she can create opportunities for others, and she's already found herself in both of those opportunities tonight.
A shining moment when she had 3 assists against North Texas. That's the first time a Mustang did it since 2016. So when she gets on a roll, she stays on a roll as well.
Player that's had to deal with injuries throughout her career. Having a great final season, coming off a senior day here in Takagan Stadium. Those 6 assists, by the way, 10th in the ACC in total assists, 47th in the nation. Evans and Wen playing a quick 1-2 to find Murdoch. Freshman looking to turn in the middle, and she'll find Evans. So calm under pressure right there are the Stanford Cardinal. Wen to Kohler, and a big switch now to Harvey. Buta finding Kohler. Kohler once again trying to find Klinger, her fellow sophomore, all the way out on that right-hand side. It's intercepted, but it falls to Mia Buta. Cardinal will look to swing it around. Evans taking her space on the far side. SMU now playing that high line. You can see how condensed this space is getting. Ike. Klinger with the right. Cleared out, and it falls to Gordon. SMU down in numbers. Here's Nieves. She'll look to hold it up. Gordon now all the way out to Eddie. Nicholson battling with Evans, and Evans able to win out, keep it in, and find her goalkeeper. Great work in the back line there by Elise Evans. And Eddie and Nieves are playing on those wings in that 3 front for SMU, and they've been up and down these lines doing a lot of work. This game's starting to open up. Mia Buta taking her space. Buta, she'll cut inside, she'll take the shot herself, and it's Brown to come up with it in goal.
The Cardinal now not to be outshot for very long. There's 3 apiece here between both squads so far in this one. Stanford with the 1 shot on goal as well. Now 2 after that one.
When Tabuta, quick 1-2 in the middle as the Stanford Cardinals seem to be settling in. A good read there by Jones, who steps in and is immediately dispossessed. This game's had quite the back and forth, both teams with bouts of possession. It's been Stanford with more possession of recent, but SMU have looked dangerous in that attacking third, Jenna.
They have, and I think that's what you have to do against Stanford potentially, right? They start so fast, so rather than allow them to dictate the tempo, which they've done all season long, we saw it especially even against number 1 Virginia. That first half, they really dominated the possession. In the second half, they were able to lay back a little bit because they had the 2-goal lead.
Ike with a shot from distance. Well read once again by Brown. We mentioned Evans, we mentioned Ike. 3 other seniors tonight here for the Stanford Cardinal, and one of them is Ali Montoya, who I'm sure is very disappointed to not be in this game with the season that she was having, but happy to hear that we do expect her back in the postseason.
Had a career start this year. Initially this season before she has been injured for a little while. They are anticipating and hoping that she'll be back late in the postseason potentially. But she, along with the other 4 being honored here tonight, all wrote a letter to Stanford Women's Soccer, all thanking not only the Stanford soccer community, but their families, etc. And one thing that she mentioned in particular was how much the program has taught her to believe in herself and that setbacks are just temporary. And you want to aim to be a champion in all parts in life, she said, and that includes working through injuries, etc. So she's one of the ones who has really helped build the program's culture over these last several years.
She certainly was having a career year. As the Stanford Cardinal will swing it again, and it looks like we will get set to get a sub. From distance, it looks like it'll be the freshman Brooke Holden, as the Stanford Cardinal look to progress. This has been how the Cardinal control the game. They can control the game in possession, but they're not going to force it. They're going to just play it around the back line. They're not going to force something they don't like. They're going to wait, and they're going to pick out their passes exactly how they want. Buama almost dispossessed, and now officially dispossessed as she fouls her counterpart. It'll be SMU ball, and that bench is pumped, Jenna. We can hear them from all the way over here.
That's the energy they brought from the first seconds of this match. And that's why we've said it before, too. When you don't have a lot to lose here at the end of their season like they are, that's when you can be incredibly dangerous because you're less hesitant, right? You're just going for it. You're trying to leave it all out on the pitch.
Bouncing ball in the middle. Harvey trying to control it. Now a 50-50 with Nieves and Buda. Buda comes up on top. Here's a matchup you'd like to see more all day long. Kohler taking her space. She'll lay it off. Kitahata with the cross inside. Harvey was there. It's cleared out well by the Mustangs. Mustangs wanted the call. Now they'll get advantage as the call. 3v2, SMU outnumbers Stanford, but it's Elise Evans. Picture perfect defense, just how they teach you on the training ground. Don't step in with the back foot, go in with the front foot just in case. Elise Evans slows down a huge attack there as SMU had numbers going forward.
That's the thing about Elise Evans. Her defense obviously absolutely elite, but also has 4 goals on the season as well. And she talked about in her letter to Stanford Women's Soccer how her first goals, some of her first goals ever that she scored were here at Kagan Stadium when she was just 2 years old at a Stanford soccer camp. And now some of her last collegiate goals, at least, may also potentially be scored here.
It is Brooke Holden to enter the match. For the Stanford Cardinal, the freshman out of Alpine, California, just about an exit down the road, has appeared in every single match so far for the Cardinal. 5 goals, no assists. She had a brace in her collegiate debut versus USF and also tucked one away at USC in that 5-1 win for the Stanford Cardinal, along with one against Pitt in that 6-0 win. And she's chasing down the ball right now as Jopic clears it out into the stands. We'll have another substitution here, and it will be Sammy Smith, sophomore out of Boise, Idaho, and sister to another player we're honoring here tonight, in Logan Smith.
That's right. 2 sisters who got to play together for 2 years. Sammy, the sophomore, Logan, the senior, one of the ones being honored this evening. Actually played on their first team together called the Flying Strawberries when they were little. And they're from Idaho, as you mentioned, and so got to travel or had to travel a lot. And some of their home games for the first ECNL team ever introduced in the state of Idaho, they had to go to Utah to play those, you know, so they traveled all over the northwest of the country. So she was very, very grateful as she reflected on senior day to what her parents and her siblings, all the sacrifices that they made.
Flying Strawberries. You wonder why that's not a mascot in some collegiate teams. It sounds like a great one.
Do you remember your first soccer team's name? Mine was the Pink Panthers.
Okay. We were the Super Tornadoes.
Nice. That explains the Twitter handle.
I figured why change it now. Elise Evans will take it up the middle. Kitahata on this left wing where she's so dominant, so dangerous. Andrea Kitahata taking on 1. She's got 2 to take on now. She gets the cross off, gets the deflection, and wins the corner kick. Andrea Kitahata is a 5th year, so technically not being honored here tonight at senior night. Technically did her senior night last year, but
That's right.
moment of recognition for her was wonderful before all of the rest of the 5 seniors were recognized. And now it'll be Mia Buta to take this corner kick with her right foot. It'll be an in-swinging ball. Stanford have gone to the front post on every single one of their corner kicks so far. We'll see what they do here. Buta, back post. Nobody's there, but it falls to Holden. She takes a touch. Oh, she looked like she was winding up to take that. Didn't like what she saw. Took the touch, and now she finds Smith. Smith puts it into the box. And finally cleared out. Nobody up there. SMU will try to clear the lines and get forward. Not too forward. They'll hold it at the 18. Into the box. Another bouncing ball in traffic. Harvey's able to scoop it up. And once again, SMU cleared their lines, but not all that far. Still holding that deep line at the 18. Plenty of room for the Cardinal to continue this attack. Kitahata fakes one way, turns on the wing, and it's cleared out once again. Now it'll be a throw-in on the far side. It'll be Sammy Smith now in that left back position, having come in for Lizzie Boama. Trying to play a quick 1-2 on the wing, and she's dispossessed. Foul against Smith, and once again that SMU bench is absolutely fired up. You love it when teams bring that energy in.
You do, and we've talked about how this is the 2nd year for both of these programs in the ACC in particular. Obviously, Stanford having come from the Pac-12 out on the West Coast. For SMU in particular, they came from the AAC to the ACC. So not only did they realign the conference, but they also jumped up to a power conference. And so that is something that has been key as well in terms of the battle-tested portion that we're talking about. Just the slate that they have had in conference play has been elevated with what is truly the most talented in the country with the ACC.
Truly, and I feel like that is statistical. ACC's had 5 teams hold the #1 spot in the nation this season. Duke, North Carolina, Stanford, Notre Dame, and Virginia all have held the #1 spot. You mentioned the journey for SMU to the ACC and how they were previously in the American Athletic Conference. That was for 10 years in 2013 through 2023. Previously in Conference USA before that. They have not won a conference title since their time in Conference USA, where they were from 2005 to 2012. They weren't able to win one in the American Athletic Conference. So talk about leveling up even more.
Yeah, the last regular season championship in 2006, the last tournament championship for the conference back in 2004.
Ike into the middle for Holden. A good look for the freshman who just tries to tap it far post with the outside of her right, just across the face of the goal.
And that's the other part of this, too. The last top 5 win that SMU has had in its history was back in 1997. They beat number 4 Texas A&M 1-0 in the NCAA first round. But the last time they beat Stanford specifically was back in 2004, and that was 2-1 at a neutral site at the Notre Dame Classic.
Long ball, Harvey's able to get her toe on it, but it falls to Jones, who chases it down. Well, I'd be remiss if we didn't finish this off on the seniors, Jenna, because we talked about 4 of them. And the final one is Freya Speaker-Cotter.
Yes. Freya Speaker-Cotter was one of the ones who also wrote her letter to Stanford women's soccer and the sport of soccer in general. And she talked a lot about self-belief, and that's something that was a theme actually for all of the seniors. She talked about cherishing the moments and hard work and grit. And she said something that was interesting to me, which is that real growth is quietly and persistently trying to be better every single day and pushing through the hard and remembering your why and just trying to be a better person after this, not only a better player, which she feels like she's accomplished, which really the real win in my opinion.
Truly, I think we can both say as former collegiate athletes, there is life after college soccer, there's life after sports. Sometimes it takes a very long time to realize that, but that certainly is the most important thing. Ball on the wing now. Importantly, I will say, number 19 in Nia Rose has checked into the match in that center forward position for SMU. Nia Rose first in goals and with 4 and has 3 game winners out of those 4. Just an absolute star of an athlete as she finds herself on the ball now. She's dispossessed by the freshman Wen. Nia Rose, junior. I mentioned the 4 goals. She's got 1 assist as well. She had a brace against Pitt. She hasn't played since September 28th against Miami, where she got a concussion. So she's been on concussion protocol this entire time, been working her way back from that. An outstanding forward. She spent some time in the FIFA U20 Women's World Cup in Colombia last year, as did Stanford's Elise Evans. She played on the Canada Youth Women's National Team, scored Canada's first tournament goal against France in a 3-3 draw and recorded 7 shots on goal in the team's 9-0 defeat of Fiji. 2 years ago, she led the entirety of the AAC in goals scored. And speaking of the Mac Herman Trophy watch list, she was also on the preseason Mac Herman Trophy watch list.
And got to live out a dream, which is to debut on the senior women's national team for Team Canada earlier this year, in addition to obviously that World Cup experience for the U20 level. Also ACC third team last year in their first year in this conference. Again, with such a stacked conference as well, to be able to get some of that recognition speaks to her level of impact.
Along with having missed 5 matches in the season to be in Columbia. Certainly does. Her mom played soccer at University of Toronto. Her sister plays soccer at Harvard. Soccer-loving family. We don't know their allegiances in terms of who they like to root for. I'm going to imagine Canada, but we don't know in terms of club. Always an important thing for soccer fans. Buta, now 10 minutes to play in this first half. Trying to find Kohler down that right wing that's been just shut down by the left back Jones of SMU this entirety of the first half. She's been working hard, and it certainly showed. Nothing down that right wing for the Cardinals so far. Claire Jones in that right back role, a transfer from Oregon State after last year. A junior as well, so she would have played against the Cardinal her freshman year in the Pac-12. Played against the Cardinal, of course, last year in the ACC when these two teams faced off as well. 0-0 with 10 minutes to play in this first 45. Smith will find Holden. Kitahata back to win. Smith, the left back, finding herself all the way up on the wing, and she will win corner kick for the Stanford Cardinal.
Just referencing back to how special it is for Sammy and Logan Smith to be able to play 2 years together here. And during Logan Smith, the senior's sophomore year, she actually was hospitalized with a heart issue and told she might not be able to play again, might not be able to exercise again. But then was not only able to do those things again, but also got to play with her sister in her last couple of years here on the farm. So just extra layers to how special this night is for that family.
Buta into the middle, punched out well by Brown. It falls to Holden. What a block. Rose came in with her whole body and no fear and shut down the freshman Holden. And was shaping up to look like it was going to be goal number 6 for Brooke Holden. And then suddenly out of nowhere, in comes Rose. Evans will swing the ball to Smith once again. Mentioned these two teams play very similarly. They both like to get their outside backs up the field, create the width, and use their width. Instead of getting those outside forwards wide, they want that width to come from the outside backs. Matching up so well against each other already in these first 35 tonight. Good read by Murdoch, but it falls back to Stryker, who will send it to Eddie. Eddie is looking all the way long to Jannereth. Too long, and Miyabuta read the whole thing. Bhutan Murdoch will go back and forth. Murdoch taking over center back duties from freshman Lily Freer. Murdoch was coming back from an injury at the beginning of the season. Played in the first 2 games and then was out until Pittsburgh. Here comes Kohler getting the cross off, getting a deflection, and finally cleared out by SMU, and starting to feel like the attacks are mounting here for the Stanford Cardinal.
A little bit different story later on here in the first half. Stanford with 6 shots to SMU's 3. Half of those 6 shots have been on goal, continuing to chip away.
Kohler, another cross, back post, nobody's there. We've seen that a couple times from Charlotte Kohler. She puts the ball in a beautiful area. It's just not an area where there's a head or a foot of a teammate or a knee or a stomach or anything. Here's a throw in the deep in their own half for SMU. Under 7 minutes to play now in this first 45. Mentioned SMU in 12th with 8 points in the ACC. Stanford right now sitting in second place with 22 points. This is the only game in the ACC today. There's 4 games tomorrow, so that'll certainly impact the standings and what we just said right there. Right now, Stanford ranked number 2 in the nation. They were picked to finish 5th in the ACC coaches poll. SMU picked to finish 12th. Falls to Kohler. Kohler takes it line, cuts it back. Buta will look to put it back in. Buta into the box, headed on by Harvey. The tall Shea Harvey found a way to get her head on it. Harvey standing at 5'11", got her head on it, but just not enough. But she loved that delivery. She points to Buta as if to say, what a good one. And Shea Harvey's certainly been on a roll. Junior wearing the captain's armband. 4 goals. 6 assists. She's scored or assisted in 4 of the last 5 games, including her first multi-assist game, 2 assists against Syracuse, her first brace of the season with 2 goals and an assist versus Virginia Tech. She had a goal and an assist in the trip to Florida where they took on FSU in Miami, so she's been just rolling.
And some credit to Aubrey Brown as well, just between the posts for SMU. 4 saves already on the night. We'll see about it right here.
Kohler once again, chip to the back post. Kitahata was chasing it, but too far away once again. You mentioned credit to Brown in in between the posts, certainly. The junior has been outstanding tonight.
Only played in 3 games last year, too. 103.5 minutes that she had. She did have 4 saves last year, a .667 save percentage. But getting obviously a lot more responsibility coming into this year and going up against the number 2 team in the country. She's already had a lot of action between the posts, and she's done a solid job.
A lot of action and just a lot to do, even if the ball doesn't come her way. Great positioning by her, great directive as well. Kohler now finding herself on the left side. She'll dump it to Harvey. Harvey dispossessed by Stryker. But once again, it'll fall to the Cardinal. Ike back in the game for the Card. She'll find Wen. Harvey, time and space to turn. You can see where she was going there all the way wide. She completes that switch. Here's Smith. Smith into the box, bouncing ball, and it finds the back of the net. Sammy Smith, her first goal of the season and her first collegiate goal altogether. What a way to do it. And on senior night for her sister.
I don't think there's a better gift for her to give to her sister Logan on senior night than that right there. Again, what a moment for the Smith family to be able to celebrate so many things here tonight.
It was the most unassuming shot almost that the Cardinal have had all half.
And we talked about how they've been chipping away. You know, now 8 shots, 5 of those on goal. They connected with the 1, but they also had 5 corners to none that they have allowed for SMU as well. They've just been building up the pressure throughout this first half.
Long ball, Rose isn't there. It's settled by Murdoch. Now Stanford up 1-0. A bit of a blow as SMU were 4 minutes away from taking the Cardinal into halftime, 0-0. This certainly changes the game. Cleared out, kept in. SMU certainly has a job to do, and how they respond to this Cardinal goal might mean a lot for the rest of this game. I always say that when you score a goal, you're most vulnerable to concede, but the Cardinal haven't really been that type of team. They seem to be the type of team that once they score, it feels like more goals are coming.
They're just locked in. And I think one thing about them is that they don't try to be something that they're not. They always play Stanford soccer. They don't get tripped up very often by the other team and trying to adjust in ways that don't make sense for them.
Kitahata into Harvey. Combination we've seen plenty of times. That time, Harvey can't quite redirect it onto goal. Aubrey Brown will take her time, push her team forward. Certainly the energy seems to have been taken a little bit out of the game here for SMU. We could hear them on the sideline this entire time, now seeming a little calmer, a little quieter. If you're the Cardinal, that's exactly what you want. If you're SMU, you have to keep that energy up. Buta taking her space, taking all the space that she can get. And here's Kohler. Kohler with the cross once again. Just a little too close to the net. Brown is there, and she takes care of business.
Stanford leading the ACC with 56 goals. Coming into this now with number 57. That's a program high in the first 16 matches now that we have entered into since 2017.
Rose trying to make something happen for the Mustangs. Nobody wants to settle it. Finally, SMU do. And Elon Wen is right there to dispossess in the midfield. Once again, Stanford Cardinal just able to take the air out of this game. They'll send it to Sophie Murdoch, and they'll play pass between the center backs. You look at the stats here. Stanford 9 shots, 5 on goal. SMU 3 shots, 0 on goal. 4 saves for Aubrey Brown, whose season high is 7. That was not too long ago, back on the 12th of October against Notre Dame. So if we just multiply that, she's on pace to beat it. You never know what the second half brings, but 4 saves in the first half is certainly a large number.
I think the efficiency, which we've talked about being a priority for Stanford, head coach Paul Ratcliffe talks about it. You know, it's one thing to have 30-plus shots. It's another thing to put some on target. So 5 out of 9 being on target tonight so far speaks to that efficiency, as well as the action that Brown has seen between the posts.
Certainly. I mean, we mentioned Stanford Cardinal, #1 team in shots and in shots on goal. In those two very different categories, both very important categories, but to be leading in both, again, as you said, demonstrated on the field tonight as this clock winds down. That'll be the final play of this half. It's the Stanford Cardinal in the lead, 1-0, as they go up on a goal by the sophomore Sammy Smith on her sisters. As they take their time on the ball, they do not force anything. They are fine to have possession in their own third, in the middle third, in the attacking third. It's possession, and they are controlling the game, and that's what matters to the Stanford Cardinal, and it's worked so far.
They are in control with that lead, but SMU came out pretty high energy, initially out shooting Stanford early on in the first half. How can they get back to putting on the pressure?
Yeah, they were putting a lot of pressure on, specifically in the beginning of the half, like you just said. I think for them, first of all, it's the intangibles. It's the energy. We saw how the air just got taken out of the bench when Stanford scored. Get that energy up. That's the first place anything has to start.
Cross into the box. Did it cross the line? A close one there right in front.
Andrea Kitahata immediately turning to our center referee and signaling to go to video review.
Yeah.
Nick Balser waved her off, but it's always fun to see that. Listen, SMU, as we said, they were doing all the right things, but you got to get the energy up. You're seeing what they're doing right now. They've actually been in the right pockets. They've been in the right spots to find space in this Stanford defense. And this high press is kind of getting to them a little bit. It's forcing them to do that, send long balls forward. But they need to do exactly that. Send long balls 2 feet. Try to get a little bit of hold-up play. But they need to just trust that they've been finding these pockets. Sometimes if you go down 1-0, you start to think everything you're doing is wrong. Everything they've been doing is right. They're finding the right angles. They're finding the right spots in front of the defensive line, in the midfield. So they just need to trust that that game plan coming in, it was actually working, and a goal will come.
And a lot of credit, as we gave in the first half, to Aubrey Brown. Obviously the 1 goal allowed, of course, to Sammy Smith, but 4 saves so far on the evening. No corners earned so far from SMU to Stanford's 5. That's another area where the Cardinal have had the advantage throughout this one.
SMU throughout their whole season have had the advantage on corners over their opponents, but in the past 3-4 matches, it's been kind of the opposite. They've conceded on a lot of corners, and they haven't been able to win all that many either.
Some contact there. Immediately called for the Cardinal.
Yeah, just a little bit of a late tackle there. Parkhurst coming in slightly late on Wen. Freshman Wen's playing in that defensive center mid role for the Stanford Cardinal team. We used to see Shea Harvey there at the beginning of this season.
Kitahata with the cross. Headed out and cleared, but Kohler not done yet. Over to Klinger on the far side of the just outside the box. Gets it in. Off the head of Harvey and right on top of the goal.
Speaking of the center mid, Shea Harvey, she's been able to get in the box a lot more in the second half of this season, and Paul Ratcliffe said they actually moved her to a more advanced role in the center mid. She used to play in that holding center mid, that number 6, which it's hard to get into the box if you're playing in that role. So they seem to have switched about halfway through the season. Elon Wen, the freshman, likes to sit in that holding center mid role. Shea Harvey has been in the more advanced position, and it certainly worked. We mentioned how prolific she's been of recent. She's got 4 goals, 6 assists on the season, and those have all come in this back half.
Reflection from Kitahata. All over it, Jasmine Ike. Brown able to clear it. Here comes Kohler back over to Kitahata. Haley Hartman with the defense. Kitahata goes down.
Hartman's been locked down. Captain, senior on this defensive line, playing in that right center back role. And this right side has their hands full managing Andrea Kitahata. It's Hartman in the right center back and Hummel in that right back role. And to manage Andrea Kitahata, who will take it down the wing to the end line and cut it back on you almost every time, and somehow is successful so many of those times. Hartman's done a great job of managing her. Both of these outside backs and center backs have done a great job of managing the wings, where Stanford are usually very successful. They've actually been shut down the majority of the time here by SMU.
Murdoch works it to the far side. Over to Kohler in midfield. Some forward movement. She'll try to connect with Kitahata. Here's an opportunity on the edge of the box. Deflected. Klinger running after it, but it's cleared out by the Mustang defense.
You could see the communication there between Kitahata and Ike. Kitahata was motioning for her to get in the box, and Ike was saying, no, I'm going to hold it. I'm going to hold my run back here.
Cardinal continuing to apply some pressure here. Here's the captain in the box. Off the head, just wide of that left post. Some dangerous opportunities really early on here in the second half, which we're used to seeing from the Stanford Cardinal this season. We talked about all the goals that they have scored in the first 15 minutes this year. That is 16, but 10 in the first 15 minutes of the second half as well in 2025. Some contact there from Boama. The whistle will get blown. The foul on Liz Eddy.
The stands don't like that. That foul called, really the only thing that I could imagine being called on Boama there is that she was playing the player and not the ball.
Hartman, one of the captains, as we mentioned, for the Mustangs, launches this one. There's Kitahata. Yapic sends it back. On the far side, Mustangs trying to make some forward progress. As is customary, switch sides after the first half. Cardinal already with 12 shots, so already 3 here in the second half. There's Ike on the far side. Surveying. The cross in. There's Harvey. Nearly connects. Kitahata wanted a call there, but another just missed opportunity for the Cardinal.
Yeah, it was a great look, a great cross, and a great run from Kitahata. Just nearly missing. Like he said, she wanted that call, but looked like great defense on that SMU side.
We've talked about how Kitahata, the 5th year, 5 seniors being honored tonight. She was honored last year during her true senior year. But what a big get for her to come back this season. And she straight up said it, wasn't afraid to. I came back to get a natty. She said there is unfinished business, so she forewent potential pro contracts at the NWSL and other opportunities to come back and have one last shot at it.
You'll love to hear that. It almost gives you goosebumps. You know, the Stanford Cardinal team was disappointed going out in the semifinals last year, thinking that they really could have had a shot at it. But this is a team that since game 1 of this season, they've come out in midseason form. It doesn't seem like it's just Kitahata who feels that way. It seems like it's the whole team who's back for revenge.
Some forward progress for SMU here. Slide on the defense as that is cleared out. Here's Kitahata taking over. At midfield, Working it to the far side. There's Klinger. Deflected and out of play. Not even 10 minutes in just yet, and we've already seen 5 shots from Stanford.
Yeah, this is the 6th corner kick now of the match as well. And I've said it before, but you have to wonder for a team like SMU that's conceded 4 goals on corner kicks across the past 2 games. Now for 6 corner kicks in this game, you wonder if there's a point where there's enough corner kicks that it might just bend. So far, they've switched back to a man-to-man defense. It seems to be working in terms of these set pieces and corner kicks.
Yale American, there's Buddha. Works it in. Trying to find Harvey, but it's cleared out by the Mustang defense. So the threat is quieted. And a throw in here now for the Cardinal. Here's Klinger. Trying to get in the box, broken up by the defense. Harvey. Back to Evans. Captain to captain to captain. Cross into the box. Off the head, right into the hands of Aubrey Brown.
That looked like a clean routine save for Aubrey Brown, but that was so much more difficult than she made it look. Her vision was completely obscured. She probably didn't see that ball until the last half second when it was right next to her because everybody was blocking her vision of the ball. And just another thing she's been doing so well, staying calm, staying in the right position. She's been outstanding tonight.
There's Wen. Works it to Harvey to the far side to Klinger. Cross in, off the foot of Kitahata, and finding the back of the net. Stanford on top, 2-0 over SMU. Andrea Kitahata continues. That is her 11th goal this season, tied for a team high alongside Jasmine Ike.
11 goals in now 16 matches. Pretty crazy, by the way. She's got 6 assists as well. She can do it all. She's coming off of a brace against Miami. She scored at FSU as well. So this makes the 3rd game straight where she has put one in the back of the net. Beautiful cross from Klinger there on that right wing. And Kitahata has been on that back post the entire time this second half. She's waiting for those crosses. There were a lot of missed opportunities in that first half. You can imagine they talked about it at halftime. In this second half, she's been on that back post, ready to receive it, and Stanford able to capitalize early because of it.
First, the underclassmen with sophomore Sammy Smith in the first half, then the 5th-year captain and Andrea Kitahata in the second. SMU has its work cut out for them. 16 shots, with 7 of them being on goal now for Stanford. Have not had a shot from SMU in quite a while and still looking for their first shot on target.
And I think that really summarizes a lot of what needs to change for SMU. They've actually been able to control possession. I mentioned they're finding those strong pockets, but they haven't actually been putting pressure and putting Stanford on the back foot. The possession is always in their own attacking half or it's in the middle third, but it's never quite enough to put pressure on this back line of the Stanford Cardinal. Now down to nothing, you'd imagine perhaps they're going to start to implement a high press or something to put some pressure on this back line, get the ball back and try to find themselves, there's a high press, in a dangerous position.
Evans with a beautiful move. Over to Boama. A lot of progress here to Kitahata. Into the box, cleared out by the defense once again. Works it back to Wen. From the top of the box, knocked down by Aubrey Brown.
Well, Elise Evans made beating that high press look oh so very easy. But SMU were really only sending 1, 2, maximum 3 players on that high press. I'd like to see that press be an entire team high press. Can everybody step up? Their back line's been pushed further and further back, deeper into their own half.
Another one. Punched and pushed in by Kitahata. Andrea Kitahata with the brace. How many times have we said that in her career? Now on her own at the top of the stats on the team with 12 goals in the 2025 season.
She certainly has been in a class of her own, and I think if there's one word to describe Andrea Kitahata, it's consistent. You mentioned how many braces has she had in her career. Well, just even the thought of that screams consistency, right? The question that can't be asked of that many players.
And it's her fourth, by the way.
Her fourth and her second of this season.
Back-to-back braces for her. She had one. It was her third career multi-goal game against Miami. It included the game winner, of course, in the 79th minute. And now she does it here again. You'll take that all day long if you're Paul Radcliffe.
Oh, yeah. I mean, he said it himself as to the reason why Jasmine Ike was moved into that center forward role.
Another opportunity here for the Cardinal. The oohs and ahs from the fans here at Kagan Stadium as it was another dangerous moment.
Paul Radcliffe mentioned, goals don't come easily in soccer when he specifically was talking about why he moved Jasmine Ike to that center forward role. But having Andrea Kitahata on this left wing for the past 4 years, it's 5 years now, it's just added so much to this Stanford attack. It's so balanced. Just how many point contributors they have on this team, how many players can score. When you think that there's 2 players with 11 or more goals on this squad, and there's 9 other goal scorers as well, it's a scary prospect.
Here's Kitahata in the box once again. The SMU captain, Hartman, able to quell the threat.
I'll correct myself here. I said 9 other goal scorers. 10 other, I mean, there have been 12 different goal scorers.
That's right.
Yeah, 16 point contributors if you lump in assists as well.
Ike, previously leading the team with 11 goals, 27 points, has now been eclipsed by Andrea Kitahata, who now has 12 goals, 30 points.
Wow.
This season.
Wow.
They still got one more in the regular season, let alone the ACC tournament and the NCAA tournament.
Those are the kind of numbers that you see in somebody's career.
Yeah.
11 goals, 12 goals over 4 seasons. That would be a solid career right there.
And you mentioned Kitahata, too, second on the team with those 6 assists. Joel Jung, who's not available today, with the team high of 8. But here's Kohler's turn. Lifted, handled by Brown.
I mean, speaking of players also who could put the ball in the back of the net, Charlotte Kohler, sophomore out of Woodside, again, just about an exit away on the 280. She's had an incredible year, 6 goals, 6 assists. She's scored or assisted in all of the past 5 games coming into tonight. She's having an incredible season.
Kohler assisted the game winner that Kitahata had in Miami.
Number 8,
in Coral Gables.
And in for Stanford, number 13,
had her 6th goal. And it was a team-high 4th game-winning goal against number 7 FSU on that road trip that we talked about, going to Florida, 2 big-time wins, especially the top 10 victory. Ike with some physicality there. It's cleared out by Ungashik.
You can see here Nia Rose wearing number 19 back in the game in the center forward position for SMU. And she's been hanging out a lot on Elise Evans on the center back for the Stanford Cardinal. First and foremost, that's a matchup that we want to see all day long. That's going to be a fun one for us to watch. And second of all, if you're SMU, you put Nia Rose back into the game. Yes, this is her first match back from concussion protocol, out for many weeks, so you don't want to put too much on her. But if you're down 2-0, you've got somebody like her on the field, do what you can to get her on the ball. Right now, we haven't seen her even with the ball at her feet in a while. So do what you can. Maybe that's pulling her back into almost a false 9 or something, but do what you can to get her on the ball. It doesn't do you any good to have her, but not on the ball.
Here's a shot over the crossbar. First one of the half.
I don't mind that. That's Liz Eddy right there, who was busy in the first half. Tied for second in goals on this squad for SMU. Why not take a shot, see what happens? As you mentioned, hadn't been won this half. So, yeah, it's not the best look, but it's a look nonetheless, and you have to start somewhere.
Still waiting for the first shot on goal here for SMU. So Burkle not yet tested. Here come the Cardinal. There's at the top of the box. The shot connects. The Stanford Cardinal make it 4-0 here on senior night. Logan Smith, her sister scored the first one. The senior scores number 4. What a way to go out on senior day.
We haven't seen that bench run that quickly in a long time. They almost ran onto the field before I'm sure somebody told them, you may not go onto this field right now. What a moment.
Wow, it doesn't get much better than this if you're the Smith family. Here to celebrate senior day, here to just cheer on both of your daughters who are competing in the toughest conference in women's college soccer. And they've already clinched a spot in the top 2 places. So they'll get the bye for the ACC tournament. But they're trying to finish this thing out and potentially get the first ACC regular season championship in Stanford women's soccer history.
Plenty of conference championships, all of those being Pac-12. Logan Smith, that's her 3rd career goal, but she hadn't scored a goal since her freshman year in 2022, where she had 2 goals on that season. What a way to cap it off at Kagan Stadium.
Gosh, we talked about her health journey, being hospitalized with a heart issue back in her sophomore season. Didn't know if she could play again, didn't know if she could exercise ever again. Now she plays a couple more seasons with her sister, Sammy, and they both score here on senior day at Kagan Stadium.
And for Sammy to be on the field for that as well, you're right. You can't write it better than that. I think if I were their parents, I might be in tears right now.
SMU trying to get something going here as the momentum is shifted all the way towards Stanford. 20 shots. This is the 11th time that they have hit that number this season. Over half of those on goal, by the way, 11 on target. So that efficiency is still there.
And pretty much exactly on par with what their season averages are.
Some contact whistle blown immediately. You could hear the reaction from the Stanford fans.
Yeah, clearly outside the box. Good move by freshman Holden over there on the outside. Just shimmying her way around a defender. Getting fouled as she makes her way around him. And it's a dangerous opportunity now for the Stanford Cardinal. It looks like it'll be Miyabuta to take it.
Buddha, an All-American, a captain on this team. Cardinal up by 4. That's crossed in, rising, headed out. By the top of the box. Once again, blocked, and it's finished. Elise Evans, the captain, with goal number 5 this evening. That's her 5th goal this season, and another senior gets it done on senior day.
I was going to say it's a senior day party. First Logan, then Elise Evans. 10th goal of her career here at Stanford. I'll say on the other side of it is so disappointing there. Aubrey Brown, she makes the save. It doesn't come up cleanly, and there's no defenders around her to help out in that moment. Disappointing if you're Aubrey Brown, who's come up big so many times already today, who's got 8 saves.
Yeah, a new season high of 8 saves.
Absolutely, and that will count as one of them. She did save it just bobbled it at the end. Couldn't quite come up with it cleanly. But Elise Evans in the right place at the right time. Jumps on it.
Talked about how Elise Evans, a fifth-generation Stanford athlete, scored some of her first goals ever as a 2-year-old at Stanford soccer camp here at Kagan Stadium. One of her last of her collegiate career. Potentially a long run here for this number 2 Stanford Cardinal, but last here at home outside of potential early NCAA hosting. She notches another one.
We're going to get a lot of substitutions here. The applause you hear is for another senior who's entering the field in Speaker Cotter.
Freya Speaker Quater. Nicole Stryker. Also entering for SMU. Still 25 minutes left to play here. Still a lot of game left, really. Just a very productive second half so far for the Cardinal.
Extremely productive. You look at when they scored these goals, 56th minute, 58th minute, 63rd, and 65th. They almost came in pairs, right? So 2 goals in 5 minutes, or in 3 minutes, and then another 2 goals in 3 minutes. And when you look at that, you can almost feel like that's a mental breakdown for SMU as well, in not being able to reset after conceding. And it certainly does feel like it's gotten away from them.
Cardinal down. Whistle blown immediately.
Yellow card, SMU number
Wen gets up slowly.
Nicole Stryker.
Nicole Stryker, who just entered the game, earned the yellow card. A free kick here for Elon Wen.
Yeah, an interesting angle, too, for a righty. With all the Stanford Cardinal lined up on the right side of this 18, you can imagine she's going to float it into the back post.
And there it is. Some time in the air here. SMU still trying to clear it. And that's going to go past the end line.
It felt like Logan Smith wanted another one right there. Trying to turn
getting
and
greedy.
shoot. Why not? Turn and shoot at the top of the 18 all in one.
And number 25, Noe Johnson. And entering the game for
Joda
Stanford is number 17,
Johnson.
Erica Grillion.
Erica Grillion. Cardinal with some more substitutions. 22 shots, 13 on target. They've still held SMU to none on target. Just the 1 shot this entire half so far.
Kaya Jota, you mentioned, taking over duties between the posts here for the Stanford Cardinal, a sophomore out of Pasadena, California. This is her 8th appearance of the season, 194 minutes total. She's allowed 2 goals across the 7 previous appearances and has yet to have to record a save. Member of the Philippines senior national team back in 2023. That's not the youth national team. That's the senior national team. Women's World Cup was held in Australia and New Zealand. She was a member of the Philippines roster for their first ever appearance in a Women's World Cup at the senior level as well. What an experience that must have been.
Mustangs trying to make something happen. The Cardinal have dominated possession. Looking to continue here on the far side. That rolls out of play. There's Speaker Quetter. Sammy Smith works it over to Grillion. Back to Smith. Can hear some of the communication on the pitch between these players, as Haley Hartman will take this one for SMU. It's launched. There's Speaker Quetter. Nia Rose working it back to midfield. Hartman launches this one. Now on the far side is Sydney Yapich. Will help the Mustangs reset. Mara Umel here on the near side. Sammy Smith with the header. On the right side. Smith clears it out. Zoe Parkhurst nearly making something happen there, as we have just over 20 minutes remaining here.
Yeah, it's a good effort for her. Take it end line and see what you can create. End up winning a corner kick, the first of the game. Yeah, pretty wild.
And for SMU, number 12, Paxton Bach.
Paxton Bach coming in, a sophomore out of Scottsdale, Arizona for SMU. There's Sammy Nieves. Cross in. Can't connect. It's cleared out by the Stanford defense. Hartman will try to reset. It's in the air. And handling it, Kaya Jota. No saves needed for Caroline Burkle during her time between the posts today. Stanford defense was holding strong. And now Kaya Jota stepping in. We've talked a lot about the upperclassmen leadership, as we should for this Stanford team, but some great young talent in the underclassmen ranks as well.
This is a young team, Jenna. I think people forget because they don't really play like it.
There's Grillione.
You look at their roster and the makeup coming into today. Last year was a very freshman-heavy roster. Young team with 9 freshmen. That was the biggest class. 8 sophomores, 8 juniors, and 5 seniors that graduated. 4 seniors added, 4 freshmen. So now underclassmen relatively even with the upperclassmen, but so many players in this freshman class getting consistent minutes as well. That sophomore class now that was the freshman class last year, also such a strong class, so experienced. They play like they're so much older than they are. But you look across this field, and there's a lot of youth.
Klinger and Kohler, 2 of the sophomores who had outstanding freshman seasons. There's 8 freshmen this year, 8 sophomores. Of course, the 4 seniors are the 1 fifth year. Another opportunity. There's Jota. It's a little bit more pressure coming from SMU, but Kaya Jota hasn't skipped a beat so far. Fifth shot of the day for the Mustangs. So right now you're down 5-0. You're SMU. They came in with such high energy early on in that first half. Things have gone a little awry here in the second half. How do you refocus for these last 17 minutes or so?
I think a lot of people would say play like it's 0-0. I actually totally disagree. It's 5-0, and that's going to inform how you're going to play. Listen, the positive spin on this is that it's 5-0. You're kind of playing with house money right now.
Another opportunity for the Cardinal. Defense stepping up for SMU.
Brooke Holden's going to get called for the tugging of the jersey there. Yapich going down and Holden tugging her jersey there.
Yep.
That's good defense and kind of last-ditch defending there by SMU, but a great job of it. But back to your question, Jenna, I feel like you have to look at this as we're playing with house money. Let's go for it. Let's send this ball long. Let's see what kind of chaos we can create. Let's push forward. Let's see what we can do on offense because, hey, another goal goes in. At this point, it's not going to be that big of a difference.
Lindsay Nicholson trying to get something going here in the corner. Sammy Smith trying to work it back to Speaker Cutter. There's Evans to clear it out into the stands.
Heads up. Ooh, we got a foot there on the ball. Some soccer players in the stands, perhaps some family members.
And pretty full here tonight at Kagan Stadium. Pretty full across the board. Some SMU fans have shown up as well. Student section, the families of the seniors. Just a really nice night for some
nice giveaway
soccer. Yeah, nice giveaway with the Stanford soccer scarves here tonight as a part of Senior Day. Of course, the men's side will have their Senior Day festivities tomorrow as they also play SMU here at Kagan Stadium.
Their head coach, Jeremy Gunn, said that they would be in attendance tonight. So the men's soccer team somewhere in these stands watching the women play. He said that these two programs have a great relationship. Those two coaches have a great relationship, and Paul Ratcliffe here on the women's side and Jeremy Gunn on the men's side. And I think Jeremy Gunn was really joking with saying, hey, there's a lot to keep up with here. Two pretty outstanding programs. You called it, what, the capital of?
The capital of college soccer. That's it. Number one overall, the men's team here at Stanford. The women, of course, at number 2, as we've mentioned, but did reach number 1 earlier this season. They were number 1 at the same time back in week 3. Here's Freya Speaker Cutter.
Yeah, you love the idea there, but that ball on the ground has to be lifted because obviously you can see there right back, just reading it all the way.
There's Liz Eddy, but Kayajota once again handles.
It was Paxton Bach in the right back position right now. Sophomore out of Scottsdale, Arizona, who read that well.
Still no shots on target as of yet for SMU. They are trying to apply some more pressure here as we trickle down to 14 minutes remaining.
We mentioned, Jenna, early on here in this broadcast, Stanford has clinched a top 2 seed in the ACC tournament. And for those who don't know, actually, the ACC tournament is structured differently on the women's side as compared to the men's side. So on the women's side, the top 6 teams make the tournament, which certainly feels unfair, but that we'll come back to that.
Out of 17, right? 6 out of 17.
6 out of 17. Of those, the top 2 seeds will get a bye, and 3, 4, 5, 6 will play each other.
Cross. Off the foot. Diving is Brown.
3, 4, 5, 6 will play each other at the higher seeds home stadium. And then the second round and the final, everybody heads to North Carolina at the historic Wake Med Soccer Park. Everybody knows Wake Med Soccer Park in Cary, North Carolina. That'll be rounds 2 and rounds 3. Round 3 obviously being the final of ACC play.
So because Stanford already has that bye, they don't need to host because they don't even need to play that first round as a 1 or 2 seed. They will leave on Tuesday, play on Thursday to start things off for their ACC championship run. Some business to take care of in the meantime. You obviously have to finish this one out, but they will go across the bay to play against the Bay Area rival Cal to wrap things up. And Cal's had some moments throughout this year. They've been receiving votes at times throughout the season. They drew with then number 1 Virginia the same weekend that Stanford took down the Hoos.
Cal is also in a huge battle to make this ACC tournament. They're currently sitting in 5th place with 16 points. Duke's right behind them with 15. So it's not a throwaway game whatsoever.
Grillione just over Holden. Mustangs will take over. Of course, we talk a lot about the national rankings, which is, of course, United Soccer Coaches. But RPI also a factor this time of year as we start to look towards the postseason. As Eddie lifts it into the box, coming out is Jota.
I think something that can affect this SMU squad as well. I mean, we talk about teams last year, so many of them not making the ACC tournament, but then making the NCAA tournament, and you look at the RPI of this SMU Mustangs team, and you think that they might be one of those teams that could happen to.
They were 54 coming into the week, dropped to 62 as some games have unfolded. Stanford been in the top 5 fairly consistently. They're obviously ranked number 2, but right now coming into today, number 4 in RPI. Striker working it back. Hartman looks to reset. Creating a lane here. Yapich put a stop to it. 10.5 minutes remain. But we've looked at just the national scene as a whole as well. And there have been other teams who have really stepped up with some upsets, like a Washington, for example, a former Pac-12 foe of Stanford.
To say the least, it's been really fun to see some of those games, to see those scores and upsets on Instagram or wherever you're checking your scores. Washington has been on a 10-game unbeaten streak. They have 8 wins, 6 of those coming in a row, 6 straight wins for the Washington Huskies as they start to close out their season. They made a huge jump in the national rankings recently, as you just mentioned, Jenna. They were 17th, and in this most recent poll, jumped all the way to 8th after they upset countless teams. We were just naming a few, and we were like, oh, yep, there's that one. There's that one, too.
USC, UCLA, also former Pac-12 foes.
That's right. UCLA was number 4 at the time when they upset UCLA as well. More recently, number 22, Ohio State, number 15, Wisconsin. They're concluding their season at another former Pac-12 foe, Oregon. That'll be on Sunday. Tomorrow.
Yeah, a lot of great soccer happening the rest of this weekend as well. Nicholson with the shot off the left post. Try it again. Hoda on it 3 times in a row. Kaya Jota. My goodness.
Well, she's got some saves now, doesn't she? Not just 3 saves, 3 in a row. My goodness.
Saw a triple save on the men's side recently that went viral on social media. The women have something to say about that here. Libby Jannereth coming in, the freshman out of Allen, Texas for SMU. Those are the reps, though, that, my goodness, there is nothing more valuable than that for Kaya Jota to see. And it's going to trickle in. The Mustangs get on the board. The shutout no longer in sight for the Stanford Cardinal. A little bit of life here in the final 10 minutes of this matchup. Sydney Yapich keeping the energy on that Mustangs bench.
A Palo Alto native gets a goal. Where she's from, senior transferred last year from Alabama. That's her 2nd goal in the season. 2nd in minutes on this team. She's played all but 26 minutes of this entire season. Pretty outstanding. Happy for her to get a goal here in her hometown. You mentioned plenty of other soccer being played this weekend, and we talked about how this is the only ACC soccer matchup today, but plenty tomorrow. Tomorrow, Syracuse will host North Carolina at 1 p.m. Eastern. Excuse me, other way around. North Carolina will host Syracuse at 1 p.m. Eastern. Virginia will host Pitt at 2 p.m. Eastern.
That is lifted. Jota bounces it. Keeps it just enough on this side of the line. The Mustangs, you can tell, a little more energized here.
Certainly. 2 more games there. Wake Forest hosting Notre Dame, and North Carolina State hosting Duke. This is what we were talking about, though, Jenna, right? You kind of just have to play with some house money and see what can happen.
Here's Brooke Holden. Defense handled it, but there's Speaker Cutter.
That was a great tackle and a great non-call by our center referee. A nice 50-50 ball.
Off the top, deflected. Nearly a quick answer there from the Cardinal.
Yeah, about 2 more inches lower. That wouldn't have hit the crossbar, but it hits the top of the crossbar, bounces over.
Lindsey Nicholson sends it forward, trying to connect on the far side.
Yeah, offside flag goes up, but that's a good look and a good run as well. Like you said, they're starting to find some momentum, some energy right now. Just a little too late.
Something to be said about having something to build on moving forward for SMU as they finish out the rest of their season here.
Speaking of, they will conclude their season away at Louisville. That will be on Thursday, October 30th, the same day the Cardinal will head across the bay to take on Cal. Tough matchup as well. Truly in the thick of this schedule for SMU. Louisville right now in 3rd in the ACC standings, right below Stanford. They have 5 wins, 2 draws, 2 losses, and 17 points in the conference right now. They've had a strong year.
We've talked about Stanford being picked 5th in the preseason poll. That was behind North Carolina, Notre Dame, Florida State, and Duke. Here's on the far side. Cross into the box. Headed out and cleared. 5 minutes left.
And for SMU, number 11, Zoe Parkhurst. And
Zoe Parkhurst coming in for SMU. Eleanor Klinger for the Stanford Cardinal. Klinger getting in on the action early. There's Sammy Smith over to Griglione. Over to Speaker Cutter, who works it back. It's Lily Freer, who has entered as well for Stanford. One of the freshmen who's made an impact early on in her career.
Stanford, number 11, Eleanor
Another corner kick
Klinger.
for the Cardinal. Eleanor Klinger will take it. That is the 7th corner kick of the evening for Stanford.
She slipped as she kicked that. It never really went in bounds.
Under 4 minutes remaining.
And sometimes they water the field, and sometimes it feels like you just step on the wrong patch right there. Happy to see her pop right back up.
This is the 7th time this season that Stanford has scored at least 5 goals in one game. They've had at least 11 times now. We talked about the #1 offense in the nation and shots per game, goals per game, shots on goal. 24 shots. There's another one well wide for SMU.
The thing about this squad is the offense is so high-powered, and you look at the defense, quietly chugging along, allowing just .73 goals against average. They're averaging under 1 goal allowed per game, which is an outstanding statistic. That's 32nd nationally when you look at them. Certainly the offense helps, but plenty of clean sheets as well.
7 shutouts this year. That's out of 15 matches coming into this one. They won't get the 8th, of course, but 39 out of the last 71 matches they have had the clean sheet on the defensive side. Just 11 goals allowed this entire season. Also outscoring at home specifically. They're 9-0 coming into this, outscoring folks 38-3.
Yeah, that's
then you factor this in, right, and it's an even bigger gap.
That number doesn't feel real. It really does show this. This isn't just a high-powered offense. This is a complete team with a very well-structured defense. Very disciplined defense led by the senior and captain Elise Evans.
There's a chance for Rose, but it's going to be cleared out by Speaker Cutter. Here's Klinger. On the far side. Just over 90 seconds remain. The Cardinal with 24 shots, 14 on target. Since then, here in the second half, 3 on target for SMU, but here's Speaker Cutter over to Grillione. In the box, crossed, headed out. Speaker Cutter nearly, but deflected off the defense. That was Lindsay Nicholson.
Well, the collective gasp, knowing that it's Speaker Cutter's senior night, it fell right to her, and everybody really wanted that one for her.
It's the opportunity for a lot of important minutes under the belts of a deep Stanford team that we've talked about as well. Just over 30 seconds. Some contact there. Cardinal take over. The left. Aubrey Brown blocks again.
It's 11 saves recorded now for Aubrey Brown.
Double digits.
10, 9,
As
8,
the clock
7,
will
6,
tick down. 5 seconds.
3, 2, 1, 0.
And that is gonna do it. Senior day here at Kagan Stadium, and the Cardinal improved to 10-0 at home this season.